What a pretty sweet intro, right? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex, and today I have a very special episode for you because it is finally Halloween.
Hooray!
Too much. Spookiest time of the year, and what better time to review one of my favorite horror films, Trick or Treat. But before we get into all that, I just want to talk a little bit about what this movie is and why it's so special in the hearts of all Halloween and horror movie fans. The movie was released in 2007 and is an anthology-style horror film, meaning that it's multiple stories that are all told through one movie. It also has a non-linear perspective, meaning that each one of these characters interact with each other at some point throughout the story, and it all centers around a little spirit of Halloween named Sam. You know, hence the weird costume. The movie was directed by Michael Dougherty of Krampus fame and Bryan Singer of X-Men fame, if you can even call it fame, and the two would eventually come together to work on the film X-Men Apocalypse.
What's the meaning of this shit?
Which was not a great movie. And with that little bit of information done, let's go ahead and jump into this one. But first, I need to make it a little bit more spookier. Yeah, this feels a lot better. Let's do this. And trust me, I know what you're thinking. 2 title cards? Wow, you're getting pretty ballsy. Yeah. Hush. The movie opens with a nice stroll through the neighborhood, which shows a couple of the characters in this movie that will become important later on, and we eventually are introduced to a couple named Emma and Henry. We see that they are coming home from a Halloween party, and Emma immediately begins blowing out all the jack-o'-lanterns and tearing down the decorations, even though Henry tells her this may be a bad idea. Emma is then attacked by an unknown assailant who eventually leaves her for dead, and later on Henry emerges to find her among the Halloween decorations with a giant cut-up lollipop in her mouth, and it all leads us into an incredible title sequence that heavily envelops the style of this film. We then get into our first real story of the movie, The Principal. The Principal opens with a boy named Charlie going through the neighborhood and smashing pumpkins, vandalizing Halloween decorations, and eventually stealing candy from a bowl on the porch of the school principal, Steve Wilkins, who walks up behind him and catches him in the act. Wilkins then decides to sit with Charlie on the front porch and they begin talking, in which Wilkins hands him a candy bar while discussing the importance of Halloween traditions. After a while, Charlie begins to feel ill and begins throwing up chocolate and blood all over the footsteps of the home, and it is revealed that Wilkins has tampered with the candy.
There's another tradition. Very important. Always check your candy.
He then attempts to hide the murder but has to quickly pass out candy to a group of trick-or-treaters, one being Sam himself. Wilkins then attempts to bury Charlie in the backyard of his own home but is interrupted by his annoying-ass child Billy, who clearly for some reason has a problem with Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown's an asshole!
Billy begins screaming from his second-story bedroom, and fearful of alerting outside attention, Wilkins compromises with him to keep him quiet. We then see for a brief second that Mr. Wilkins' neighbor is attacked by something, but Wilkins brushes it off because the old man is an asshole. How do I know, you ask? We'll find out later.
That's called foreshadowing.
Wilkins then heads inside and leads Billy down to the basement, revealing that he has a knife behind his back, and it appears to the audience that he murders his son. In actuality, he stabs the severed head of the boy Charlie, and it is revealed that Wilkins is a serial killer and is raising his son to grow up to be like him. And with that, we are led into our second segment of this story, the School Bus Massacre. This particular segment begins with a group of children collecting jack-o'-lanterns when they run across a yard that has damn near 200. They are then introduced to a little girl named Rhonda, who is dressed as a witch and is clearly a huge fan of Halloween. All of them together go down to a local abandoned quarry, where they then tell Rhonda the story of the School Bus Massacre, a horrible tragedy in which an entire school bus full of autistic kids were rounded up and driven into the lake when one of the children broke out of the shackles he was tied down to and began driving the bus, leading it off of a cliff. See, the whole thing about it was that the townspeople were so embarrassed at the fact that their children had autism, they had paid the school bus driver to chain them all down to their seats and kill them in some way, shape, or form. This time, though, he ended up going with them. Unfortunately, he did not die, though, living to survive the moment and keep the story to himself, letting nobody know who he was. Macy the Angel then decides to leave jack-o'-lanterns out to honor the deceased children, and they begin to split up, leaving Rhonda and Chip behind. Rhonda heads down the elevator into the quarry when she hears scary noises and screaming from below, and it is revealed that everything is a prank when the children come out wearing scary costumes, and Chip and them begin laughing. Unfortunately for everybody involved, this is not a joke, however, because the children really do rise from the dead and exact their revenge by ripping these children apart, causing Rhonda to lock the gates to the elevator and go up alone. And I mean, hey, don't be a bully. Sometimes doesn't pay out how you think it will. Upon leaving the site, Rhonda passes Sam once more, and we are then led on to our third segment of the film. This one aptly named Surprise Party. Alright, I swear I'm gonna stop doing it. It's impactful the first time, but now it's just getting old. This story in particular follows a small group of young adults, particularly one named Lori, who is played by Anna Paquin. Tonight, she has decided to go out with her sister and her sister's friends to a Halloween party, and they are out trying on slutty costumes. I was gonna not use the word slutty, but they use it themselves, so She decides to go with a Little Red Riding Hood costume that she says compared to her friends makes her feel childish, but her friends reassure her that she has just enough sex appeal to pull it off. They then all go out to pick up their dates, but Lori decides to go to this one solo, hoping that she will find someone at the party and bring them home with her. This girl got them priorities. She is then followed by a man who is apparently a vampire, and he attacks her, although she defeats him easily. He then wakes up, and her friends unmask him at a bonfire, and it is revealed that it is Principal Wilkins out looking for more victims. It is also revealed that she and all of her friends are vampires, and they transform, shedding their skin, and they rip the man apart. See, the whole time they were joking about Anna Paquin's character being a virgin, and it's not the type that we think it is. They simply mean that she is a werewolf who has not yet killed a human being. And with that awesome reveal out of the way, we are now on to our final segment. This one simply just goes by the name of Sam. Now, if you remember back early on in this review, we mentioned that Wilkins noticed his neighbor was being attacked by something, and I said we will figure it out later. This is what I was talking about. So this segment opens up with Wilkins' neighbor scaring a group of children by scrapping glowy eyes onto his dog and sending him out of the darkness onto the porch, causing the kids to scream and run. See, this old man, who goes by the name of Krieg, is a real douchebag and not a fan of Halloween at all, and results to tricking and scaring children instead of simply passing out candy. Later on, however, strange things begin happening at the house, such as Krieg's house being egged, writing being all over the inside of the walls, and the entire yard being filled with glowing jack-o'-lanterns. That is because Sam is finally here to greet this man because he is an avid breaker of the rules of Halloween. See, I failed to mention those rules earlier, but they are as follows. Number 1, always give out candy to trick-or-treaters. Number 2 is simply, always wear a costume. Number 3 is never extinguish the flame of your jack-o'-lantern before midnight. And finally, number 4 is simply respect the dead. It is then revealed that Sam is the one in the house, and he attacks Krieg, who is able to remove Sam's mask and reveals that he is some sort of demon underneath. After a crazy scuffle between the two, however, leading to bruises, blood, and scratches, Sam decides to leave a confused Krieg alive after he is stabbed in the gut, and Sam accepts that as passing out candy. Dude got incredibly lucky. Sometime later, we then see Krieg passing out candy to a group of trick-or-treaters when he notices Sam across the street, who begins stalking someone, basically leading to that person's death, and you then see that this entire movie is tied together, hint leading the anthology style that I talked about at the beginning. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is 2007's Trick or Treat. So why is it such a big deal to horror movie and Halloween fans alike? I think the answer to that question is quite simple, actually. I mean, it's a really fun movie. It's got that really artsy style to it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's got plenty of gore. The imagery is pretty spooky. And of course, Sam himself is just adorable. He's become a worldwide icon and a true member of Halloween after this movie released. And of course, everything that I've mentioned before is the reason why this movie has such a cult following. I had actually had a couple people for a while now ask me to review this movie, and I knew that I wanted to hold out and wait to do it for Halloween because that would be the perfect setting, seeing as to how this movie takes place on Halloween night. We also get a Spirit Halloween in the town I live in every year, and this year, of course, I went out looking for as much things from this movie as I could possibly find, and for some reason it was not a lot. I got this shirt, which came with the hood and the gloves. The Sam back there is actually courtesy of my mom. I've got the clown mask down here from the School Bus Massacre story, and that's about really all I found. Also, peep that badass Dead by Daylight's ghost face mask. I literally looked for like a month straight before I ended up finding it, and it was just so satisfying. But yeah, that's Trick or Treat. That's this review, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I put a lot of work into this one and a lot of effort, and I think it paid off. I think it ended up being a really good video, and I'm proud of all the little editing snippets that I made and everything. So I do have a little bit of information to announce because this is the end of the video. That's usually what I do. And yeah, then we'll just move on from there, and I'll do my little sign off, and that'll be the end of this one. So the thing I wanted to talk about in this episode is actually not really a big deal. I just wanted to announce that this will actually be the last review of this month, clearly because it's Halloween, and then I will not be doing a review in November. I know that before I announced this whole schedule where I was going to keep going with all these horror movies and whatnot, but I've actually decided to take a month to just focus on the outside life and focus on the work life, and I will be back the first week in December to upload a Christmas video there, and then we will do a Christmas Eve video where I will release a horror video and a comedy video. It'll be like a Christmas double feature, and I'm really excited for that one because Christmas is my favorite season of the year, and it's closely followed by Halloween. So I was really excited to do this one and that one. And yeah, I just, obviously, you know, it's not a big deal. I just wanted to take a break and give the page time to like spread out and get known a little bit and really focus on what I've got going on. And then, of course, I'll be back making videos and, you know, doing what I do. And yeah, I thank you guys for The hell is that? I'm not expecting anyone. Oh.
Hello, Internet. My name's Red Hood. And, this is my show now.
No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to give Jason a chance to shine on Halloween, but that's gonna do it for this one, guys. As always, good night, be safe, and happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. Mwah.